Hello and welcome. Now in this video, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to create a very nice application, and it will be a code editor. Okay, for the user will has the ability to actually type, or he will has the ability to type an HTML code or CSS or even JavaScript, and we are going to show it in our web browser. Okay, so it will be like a code editor for web designers. Okay, so it's really great idea that you make something like this. Of course, we are going to make the simplest version of it, and you can go further with the things that we are going to give you. Okay, so with everything in place, let's get started. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, guys, as you know, when you start for example learning or even practicing any programming language, you need a compiler, okay, or a text editor. And inside this text editor, we need to have the ability to type something, okay, and the place there we are gonna type in, it's actually an edit text. Okay, but in this case, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a different thing, which is the auto complete text view. Here we have it. Okay, and what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna drag it and drop it inside my screen. Okay, here we have our auto complete text view, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make the width to be match parent. Okay, and also I'm gonna change sorry, we have the background color. Okay, so I'm gonna search for the background color. Okay, and we should here see, and you can choose of course your own color, but in my case I'm gonna choose maybe this light gray. Okay, which you can access it by typing hashtag 3EEE. okay, and here we have it. But what I'm gonna do also, I'm gonna maybe changing this relative layout. Instead of relative layout, I'm gonna make it linear layout, and I will tell you why in a second. Okay, so let's make it linear layout. It's just for the design purposes. Okay, and also I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make it vertical, not horizontal. Okay, so let's search for the orientation property. Here we have it. I'm gonna make it vertical. Now let's go ahead and add our run button. So I'm gonna drag symbol button here. Okay, and I'm gonna, instead of says button, I'm gonna make it says run. Okay, run code or whatever. And also what we are gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, here I'm gonna select my auto complete text view and set the layout weight, okay, to be 1. Now the reason behind this is actually I will make it to fill out all the screen, okay, and give some space for the button. Okay, that's why I make it the layout weight to be 1. Okay, and for the button it will be not 1. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it as the default. Okay, so the text view or the edit text, here we have the auto complete text view will fill out all the screen and give some space for our button. Okay, and now what we can do, ladies and gentlemen, you can add your own style on this. For example, changing the background, adding the text color, so on and so forth. So for our button, I'm gonna change the background for something else. I'm maybe gonna use this blue color. Okay, and increasing the text size, it will be a great option in our case. Okay, so we have it right here. Now of course, once the user run our application, he will has the ability to enter something inside this. Okay, and he should click on run code, then we are gonna add or run our code. But first of all, let's assign some IDs. Okay, so for example here I'm gonna make it to say to be user underscore code, and here for the button I'm gonna make it run. Okay, run underscore btn, simple as that. Now let's go ahead and fetch all these views, because all what we need, it's actually just a place where the user can enter something, and also a button for running our application. Of course we are gonna add more, but for now we are gonna leave it like this. Now I'm gonna open my main activity. Okay, and here, ladies and gentlemen, inside our class, the outside of your on create, we are gonna fetch everything that we have inside our main activity .xml file. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create two variables, the first one for the auto complete text view and the second one for the button. Okay, with everything in place, let's get started. So I'm gonna create a variable. Okay, I'm gonna name it, for example, user underscore code. Okay, it should equal or not equal, sorry, but we should give it the type, and in this case will be autocomplete text view. Okay, we have it right here, and the second one will be the variable for our button. So I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to name it run underscore ptn. Okay, and should be type of button. Now type it like this. Now our job here is to fetch everything inside our own create. I'm going to make the user code, okay, should equal to the find view by id method. Okay, and the id was r.id.usercode. Okay, and for our button, I'm going to type run btn is equal to the find view by id method r.id.runButton. Okay, or run btn. Now everything in place, ladies and gentlemen. What we are going to do, last but not least, I'm going to set an on-click listener on our button, because once the user enter the code and he click on the run, we are going to execute the code. So we need to assign an on-click listener on this button. So I'm going to type run btn.set on-click listener. Okay, and here instead of typing all my code here for taking the values from this edit text and run it in our web browser, I'm going to call a function here, call it run. Now this run, it's actually a method, it's not exist yet, so Android Studio will give us an error, and we are going to create it in a second. So here you can on the run, okay, method, click on alt and enter, and here where it says the second option where it says create a function run, click on it, and Android Studio will create this line for us, and remove this to do and open, give some space here. So we are gonna write everything here. Okay, and with that in place, let's get started to add our code that the user, once click on the run, we are gonna take everything and go to a web browser. So what we are gonna do, first of all, we are gonna create a variable, okay, of type intent. Now why we should use intent? Now the reason here, because we are going to show our code inside another activity. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new activity for our web browser. Okay, so new, go to the file, then a new, then choose activity, and empty activity will do the job. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to name it, for example, code. Okay, code underscore activity or whatever. Click finish, and Android Studio will take a second to create this activity for us. Okay, now Android Studio finishing the activity for us, and we have it right here. It's empty. Of course, we are not gonna work with it right now, so I'm gonna close it. Okay, and going back here to our run function, we are gonna add, of course, our code for take the code and run it in our web browser. So first of all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a variable. Okay, I'm gonna call it intent. It's equal to the intent. We want to go from this activity to the second activity, and we did this a lot, so I'm gonna type this at the name of our activity, and the place that we are gonna go to, it is actually the code underscore activity, and a double colon java.class. Simple as that. Now what we are gonna do, we are gonna type start activity for our intent. Now what we did, ladies and gentlemen, we have created an intent that will go from this activity to the second activity, but we do not want to go just like that. Okay, because we do not want the go with empty hand. Okay, we want to go with our code that the user will enter inside this autocomplete text view. So what we are gonna do, we are gonna get the text from the user, okay, and send it to the send activity with us. So I'm gonna type intent dot put extra. We have tried here. I'm gonna give it a key with code. Okay, the key name should be code. Okay, and the value, you guess it, we are gonna get it from the user code dot text, and we are gonna convert to string to avoid any issues that maybe we are gonna run into. So everything is set up, so the user will enter something inside our run function, or sorry, inside our autocomplete text view. Okay, and once he click on the run button, we are gonna take everything and go inside our the second activity. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, maybe the user will enter nothing. Okay, for example, he leave everything empty and directly click on run. So what we can do, we can, for example, check if, for example, the user code dot text or dot empty, it's equal, for example, to something empty. We do not want it to do something certain thing. Okay, of course, we discuss a lot this stuff. We have worked with the if statement before. Okay, so you can, of course, you can add this is if you want. Okay, because I already explained the if statement and how you can use it. Okay, so I'm not gonna go with this. Okay, but for me, as I said, it will be simplest version of a code editor. But for you, if you want to create an application that you will be release it to the Google Play Store, of course you need to add the if statement and prevent the user from go with empty hands to the second activity. Okay, but in this case, I just wanna tell you about this. Okay, now what we did, ladies and gentlemen, we have set up everything. Okay, so once the user open our application, we are gonna tell it to enter something. Okay, inside this application, or inside this edit text, the autocomplete text view, and you will click on the run button. Okay, and this method will get executed, and all we did is taking the text from the edit text, and we are gonna go inside our next activity that will show the result. Okay, so that was our first part of our code editor application. Thank you guys so much for watching. We are gonna continue on in the next video.